Still business.
We're good.
Oh,
We're
good.
good.
There it is. Okay. Yay.
Oh, it's not quite yet, y'all. Just 1 second.
Well, still.
Okay, you're good now.
Okay. Thank you, Zach. All right. Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for joining in on a Monday afternoon. I hope everybody is doing well and staying safe. Gorgeous weather right now. I hope everybody's taking advantage of that. You know, it's love this time of year, being able to get outside. So I enjoy it. Before we jump into things, I know Dr. Benzing wanted to briefly mention some protocols. Would you like to do that right now, or?
Sure, that's fine. Yeah, I'll go ahead and start with this. So what I've tried to do, of course, following on our conversations at our board meeting, is to provide just a little bit of guidance for the committees and how they need to operate based on, you know, the fact that we're in this virtual world for a while. And at the same time, I thought I would take the advantage of just describing, you know, how the committees are expected to function, a little bit about our bylaws and how the membership is appointed and the like. And so I shared a document with Cord, and I don't know whether it's been shared with the committee more broadly or with other committee members, but it basically just goes into what are the charges for the committee, the role, you know, really, I think the committees are where all the work is done. And I want to second Christy's thanks for participating in these committees, because it's really important for the business of the museum that we meet more often than just quarterly, and we get to talk about specific topics like education and public programs. And so I don't know if there's any questions that I can field at this point, but really I would encourage Cord maybe or Christy afterwards to share this document just as a kind of a tool for you to think about as we move forward. Of course, the committees have to meet virtually now, and so like with what we're doing with Zach here today, these are public meetings, and we're going to share that, and that improves our transparency to the public and allows others to participate. So that's really all I had, unless there are any particular questions. I would say this committee has been very active, and so I commend you for that. Some committees aren't quite as active, and so part of my goal was to just energize the committees to meet at least quarterly, and perhaps more often. Some committees are meeting, you know, as often as monthly. And certainly in the context of education and the way the world is going with education, it's important that we're, you know, paying attention to that and thinking about how we can deliver our educational and public programs in that light. So that's all I had.
Great,
All right,
thank you.
I have that guidance that you sent me, and I'll send it out to Christy today, just so it can get to all of the committee members and stuff like that. I knew we wanted to wait until we all spoke before it got sent out, so I'll send that out to her as soon as we're done.
Okay, awesome. And so like was mentioned, you know, the thought behind this afternoon's meeting was just to touch base before our next full board meeting and full committee meeting, you know, then. So just to kind of keep the information flowing, like was mentioned. And it's interesting, you know, like Dr. Benzing said, with just how education is fluid right now and just ever changing. So we do have a lot that we're working with and kind of trying to grapple with how to present programs and things like that. So it is nice to kind of touch base with y'all and let you know what we're doing, but also get your input and feedback, and have time for any questions and things like that that might come up with what we're doing. Since our last meeting, we have been going virtual with our homeschool sessions, and so that's going very well. It's nice in some ways going virtual, because we are able to reach participants that with our in-person sessions we were not able to. So with our past sessions and sessions, let me back up. Our sessions are twice a month. We hold them on the first and third Wednesdays, and we offer 3 different Zoom sessions so that we can capture the age groups that we would normally have in person in our classrooms at the same time. So we have 3 different Zoom sessions, and some families that have the range of children are connecting with all 3 separate Zooms. But with our in-person sessions, we were attracting local and surrounding counties as far as participation. And with the virtual sessions now, we have participants from Richmond. We have several participants from Richmond and further out. And so in talking with the parents, having the virtual is very nice and something that they can now take advantage of, where they couldn't have when we were doing the in-person. Of course, there's still the drawbacks of trying to do all virtual and not having those hands-on connections and things. So we're trying our best. We actually have our next one on this Wednesday. And this one focuses on botany and kind of the fossil connection with botany. So we will be connecting from various exhibit areas downstairs and making that connection. And of course, with the separate Zoom sessions, the age appropriate material. And so what we've been doing is looking at ways that we can have engaging material with them and things that we can have them do prior to joining the Zoom session. So kind of pre-session homework, if you will. So having them work on things, and it might be a document that we send that they have to fill out some questions, or our last session was entomology. And so it was actually going out in their yard, and they had things that they had to look for and find and make observations. So still trying to make it as engaging as we can without having them right in front of us in person. So it's been really nice, and chatting with the parents, registering, we are hearing that they're just glad that we're offering something right now. We do have some that are really waiting for us to go back to in person before they come back. Some of them are like, hey, we'll do, whatever you're offering. So it kind of runs the spectrum of participation. But so we're excited to see that, it's going well. And the participation is steady, if not increasing with each session that we do. So we're looking forward to Wednesday's session on botany. I've actually been talking today. Today has been on the phone all day. I've been talking with several teachers that are local and surrounding counties that are interested in virtual programming. And so we're looking at, just because of hybrid schedules and just, the uniqueness of the way schools are right now, of how we can work out those programs and make those connections. So exciting that the inquiries with the virtual outreach are starting to come in now. We've been heavy with the homeschool, but now I feel like since school is kind of been in session for a little while, and the word is getting out about the virtual options, that we're getting some of those inquiries now. So, and of course, if you have connections, please feel free to share the information with colleagues. Let's see, in August, I sent out emails to local and surrounding counties as far as schools and YMCAs and groups such as Boys and Girls Clubs, various centers like that, as far as our options. And so, but if y'all have any ideas on who we could kind of reach out to as far as making that connection for virtual programming, please, let me know.
I have a question, and this is because now we sit in the Secretary of Education his office, and I wonder if there's any kind of regular communication that goes out from the secretary to the supervisors or division heads, and whether or not we could get into that email train or
Yes.
channel.
I did a shameless plug with a group that I work with, the Virginia Resource Use Education Council, and our outgoing chair right now is the science coordinator for the Department of Ed. So I was talking with her and asking what are the avenues that we can get our information, in emails or the electronic newsletters. And so she's actually added our information to some of the things that goes out. I know at least as far as the newsletters that the DOE sends out. As far as the secretary, I'm sure I could kind of pursue that as well.
No, I think
Great
that's
idea.
excellent. That's exactly what I think I was asking about, is whether or not
Yeah.
there's something that comes out from DOE. And if we
Yeah.
could get a little blurb in there every now and then, that might, catch somebody's attention.
Yes.
Just as an aside, we do submit a weekly report to the Secretary's office. It lists all of our education programs, numbers, all that kind of stuff, as well as noteworthy items, a curator update weekly. So that's kind of one way. Once it goes to Richmond, honestly, I don't really know what happens to it. Over the years, I've gotten some evidence that people actually read it, and other times there's evidence that they don't.
Yeah. And the group that I mentioned, the Virginia Resource Use Education Council, is statewide agencies and organizations. So when we have a newsletter, and so we'll kind of share everything that's going on with these partner organizations to try to get the word out, and they're sending it to their contact list. So trying to share as wide as we can, especially right now with virtual programming. A lot of the groups are informal educators. And so we're all kind of feeling that impact, from COVID on our programming. So it's kind of the, everybody just trying to share and help each other out, which has been nice.
Hey, Christy, I have a question.
Yes.
It seems to me that this kind of new need for virtual programming is both an opportunity, but it could provide a challenge as well in terms of your all's capacity and staffing and so forth. And it occurs to me that, I think the opportunity is bigger than the challenge, but I hear a potential fundraising pitch here, for grants and so forth to be, to support expanding virtual programming. Because let's face it, that's where we're going to be, I think, for at least the next year, if not longer. So have you all been kind of thinking along those lines and how to build the program and what your funding needs would be to do that?
Yes, because that's it's tricky looking at how to carry this out. And just for instance, one of the teachers that I was talking with today, very interested in doing the virtual programs, but their budget has been slashed for any extras right now. So she's trying to look at, ways that they could still do programming with us. And Ryan, would you want to jump in on some of the opportunities that we've had?
Yeah, so we announced the Patterson grant recently for virtual programming, and that was a nice kind of $20,000, pretty flexible funding source. So Christy's able to kind of tailor that, and it's also for support of research and collections programming. Actually, right before the call, I got an email from Sarah Huddle with Boxley, and they are interested in building on the partnership we did last year for the in-person programming and doing virtual programming. So Christy, I didn't even have a chance to send that to you, but
that sounds great.
Yeah, that was a nice $10,000 funding source last year. So they want to build that into a virtual outreach. So that's kind of breaking news, I guess.
One of the
Good breaking news.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Yeah.
Yay.
One of the challenges that we still need to address is getting educators to listen. The ones that I talk to informally in the community, they're seemingly so overwhelmed with
Yes.
student emails and just the process of communicating virtually that it's very difficult to get their attention. And so what we need to do, and Christy, maybe this could be part of our leadership team discussion tomorrow, is to how do we make the life of the teacher easier? Is there some way we can do that? I think that would potentially be a gold mine. And we find something that we can do and we can do better than anybody else.
Yes. Yes.
Just speaking on that, I think one of the things that we need to do is, as opposed to hitting the educators, we need to hit the providers. Parks and Rec, Boys and Girls Club, the YMCAs, the schools, from what we're being told is, I know we're hosting city school kids in our Y basically 7:30 to 5:30. And they're online almost up until 3:20 every day for the entire day, other than about a 45-minute break for a lunch and recess. And we were talking to some of the principals and assistant principals, and we're like, don't you think this is a little much? But what they're going by is the kids have to have so many hours of instruction per semester, so they're not giving them any breaks. So where we've got to adapt that is, can we run programs for the providers from that 3:30 to 6 o'clock range in the afternoon at night? I think we might could get some more people, because the Boys and Girls Club, Parks and Rec, the Ys, Big Brothers, Big Sisters, they're wanting to do stuff like that, but our hands are tied from that 7:30 to 3:30 range because we're too busy working with teachers live doing these kids' homework. So I think there's an opportunity there. We just have to rearrange the hours that we're doing it, if that makes sense. Because I know that we've got kindergarten kids in our group right now that they get online at about 8:40, and from 11:40 to 12:40 they have lunch and recess. But from that 8:40 to 3:20, they're online all day long, and all we're doing is walking around going, checking, making sure they're still on with their teachers, doing their stuff. And we walk to another child. They're literally, it's like they're in class, they're just on a computer. So really the providers, the only breaks you're going to have is from that 3:30 to 6 o'clock range in the afternoons.
Christy, could we maybe look to adapt our MHC After 3 programming
Oh, yes, definitely.
and do that virtually? I mean,
Yes. And actually, you mentioned the MHC After 3. I've been talking with one of the site leaders there of potential programming. They're trying to do virtual stuff. So we're working on this kind of, hybrid programming for them. But yeah, and that was just one site, and definitely could reach out to the others.
okay.
It strikes
Um,
me, Ford, that YMCA's might be a good first partner. I don't know,
Yes.
but Waynesboro is in the same situation. I know they're hosting kids from, 8:30 to 3:30 or whatever during school hours just to provide an online opportunity for them. So maybe,
Yeah.
we start with something like a very targeted audience like at YMCA's and see whether or not we can roll out a program. Maybe if you've got one already packaged that
Mhm.
MHC up to 3, try
Yeah,
to put that into some of the Ys.
Yeah, it's really weird because the city schools are telling us that they're actually following VDOE, but the county schools, they just started back this past week, but K through third grade are only going 4 days a week and they're off on Wednesdays. And fourth through 12th grade are going back, they just go back 2 days a week now, but almost none of their stuff's online. It's just very little. Most of it's packets. So, I mean, it just really depends on who do we want to target to get the most, bang for the buck. I know that any of these schools that have CARES Act money that they can, it has to be spent before December the 31st. So they've got money there to go. Any of that money that's not spent, they don't get to keep. We've already been told that. So the city in Danville, their group, they got a grant. Basically, the city gave the school system $300,000 to help with after school care, all day school care, virtual learning, all this stuff like that. Well, as of the 1st of October, we still had $234,000 left, I think, in that batch. So they're not going to run out of that money because this has been going on now for 9 weeks. So there's still money there. So it may be that I could reach out and say, hey, could we have some extra and we can run this program from 3:30 to 4:30 or 4 to 5 or however y'all want to do it, and just see if we can get some funds there, because if they don't spend the money, they've got to turn it back in. They don't get to keep it. It can't be allotted for something else. It has to go towards off-site educational opportunities. So I don't see why we couldn't do some of that through the museum on these long distance learning stuff.
That sounds good. Cord, when did you say in December that they have to have it spent
It's-
by?
From what I understand, everything has to be spent by the last day in December.
Okay.
But they're giving them, I think it was what we were told, they're giving them 6 days to put in the final invoice. So I guess January the 5th, somewhere like that.
Okay.
But we've been doing this for 6 weeks now. There's 27 providers and we've only spent 60 grand out of the 300,000. We still have $250,000 left, and we've been doing this for over a month and a half now. So there's not a whole lot of children or families that are taking advantage of this. And we put it on constant contact. They've sent out robocalls. So the money's there. It's just a matter of getting them to come off of it a little bit. But I could probably talk our associate exec into reaching out and saying, talking to them and seeing if we can't somehow work out something with them. Even if it's, listen, we'll let you bring a group of kids to the Y and use our facilities because we've got the large screens and everything hooked up, and then do it, that way somehow. So,
yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, I think, like Dr. Kuiper said, it's, just the trying to adapt the school day, and it's constantly changing. Like Cord mentioned, they're, having the hybrid. Henry County is starting their hybrid schedule next week. So they've been virtual since August 10th or something. But they're now switching to the hybrid schedule. So here the teachers are going to have this time frame of adjusting to that. So it is the kind of trying to get them, talk to them to work in programming. And so it can be tricky. So targeting the after school programs, the WISE Boys and Girls Clubs, even daycare settings. I know the church that is next to the museum not only has the daycare aged children, but they also have some of the school age children that they are, that are there during the day working on their schoolwork. So, reaching out to some of these facilities and kind of promoting the distance learning is definitely something that I'll do. Good. I know at our last committee meeting, we were talking about kind of other things that we've been working on, and we've been working with Zach for our Museum Minute videos that the educators are posting. They were actually in just now shooting some video for some more. But what we're looking at now is tying that in with something while we're open to the public. Right now we're open on Fridays and Saturdays. So we've been talking with others about having an education table in the exhibit areas for a certain time frame while we're open to the public, and tie in the Museum Minute subject with something that we have to engage the visitors with. So that is going to be rolling out this week. And our video, if everything goes well, will be one of our live animals, and then showcasing our live animals, which is always a hit. But we're looking at every Friday having some material out to engage visitors, just briefly, something drop by, interact with, and then, on their way exploring the museum. And then looking at occasional Saturdays, having something to capture the audience that's at the museum during the Saturday hours. But trying to tie in some of that social media that we're doing, as well as some other social media things. I've been working on a trivia possibility with the Ben in Nature posts. So we're working on that right now, just to have some fun activities, things that families can do together, and just kind of experiments, getting outside and exploring, and doing a quick survey of the plants in their area, or various animals that they can see. So having some of those fun activities that families can do outside of our virtual programming.
I saw the Museum Minute with Claude and the giant sloths.
Yeah.
That was really good. That was fun.
Yeah.
Do you have any sense of how many people are viewing those? How much traffic we're getting from those?
That I am not sure. I don't know if Ryan or Zach
You should be
would
able
have
to capture that, right, Ryan or Zach? I would think, and that might be something to report to the board.
Yeah, I'm going to defer to Zach. I don't want to throw out some inaccurate numbers.
I don't have those numbers right in front of me, Tom, but we can obviously get those for you, and I can provide them to whoever wants them for you to.
Yeah, I'd like to see that in a report to the board at some point. Like how many people are coming to the Museum Minute or the Ben in Nature or those kinds of things.
Mhm.
Have some numbers. That'd be really kind of
Sure.
give me a sense of how successful those efforts are.
So
Are
to,
those
to access the museum minutes, you just go to the website.
Facebook.
Oh, I don't do Facebook.
Yeah, that's one issue is not everybody's on Facebook, and
Yeah,
so
I dropped Facebook a
think
couple
about that,
years
yeah.
ago. And
So if you don't mind me interrupting, Bruce, real quick, we're actually rebuilding our YouTube page.
oh, good.
So these
That'd be a good
all
place.
these videos that we're producing specifically for Facebook will be on our YouTube page for
Good.
everybody to view when they need to.
Excellent.
And I like to tell all of our people when we're doing the Facebook, it's all right to like it, but share it, because shares mean more than likes. If I like it, then you just got to like. But if I share it, then the way that algorithm works is if I have 800 friends on my Facebook, you might get me sharing it and 40 other people will see it. So the more you share it, the more people see it. That's what we really want. So you might have 60 likes, but would you rather have 60 likes or 50 or 40 shares? But of those 40 shares, 600 people saw it. So I always tell everybody, make sure you share it. I mean, we've got a few posts from our little group that, you know, we might have had 100 shares, but 2,000 people saw it and we only had 60 likes or something. So I'd rather more people see it than more people like it.
Guys, it's Nathan here. Just a note, you don't have to be a member of Facebook to actually enjoy all the stuff the museum puts on Facebook. You just have to do a Google search for facebook.com, Virginia Museum of Natural History, and you can watch all the videos without actually being a member and logging in.
Oh,
Right.
Thanks for bringing that up because I didn't know
yeah, I
that.
know. Yeah. Cool. So, yeah.
A question, are you planning to participate in the dinosaur drive-through that's coming up on Saturday in Waynesboro?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes, we actually we have craft bags of material that we will be handing out to the children that come through. So it's some dinosaur masks and a scratch art dinosaur, and then the bag includes the wristbands for the festival. So yeah, and then I know one of the educators is going to be covering one of the tables with material as well. So we'll have two of us there. So yeah, looking forward to that.
I think we're also, since we're talking about it, Tom, where we're setting up is along the edge of the Greenway. You know, we're in the parking lot, but on the edge of the Greenway. I was talking to a couple of folks, and I think we're going to kind of be a backup for any curious folks who come up to the fence from the Greenway. So we'll catch up with them. So that's going to be one thing that'll be a little different about this. We'll have some extra materials that we can show, and certainly they can see a lot of the stuff from the Greenway. So that'll be something that'll be a little different this year, or this show.
Great.
Cool. Well, awesome. Well, I know I wanted to just kind of provide an update of what we've been working on since our last committee meeting and kind of the avenue that we're pursuing with the virtual programming and, you know, like you mentioned, other audiences and things like that. But does anybody have any questions or comments?
Hey, Christy, I just want to point out that, you know, I've been watching you and your team, you know, work here under unusual conditions for the last 6 months, and you've done really, really well, being very creative and all that kind of stuff. And on top of that, if I'm not mistaken, you and your whole team, you're participating in Aztec?
Yes.
Yeah, so we have Aztec, the Association of Science and Technology Centers is having a virtual conference this year,
Yes.
obviously. So it's $500 and you get 10 staffers that can register. So we got that coming up in a couple of weeks. So that's going to be good professional development for them. And they've also cross-trained in some other areas of museum operation to better understand how those areas work, take best advantage of their time. So Christy, thanks a million for all you're doing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yes, we've been really taking advantage of any workshops and classes online that we can partake in. A lot of good material out there for educators right now. So.
And are you still doing a workshop for the VAST conference? Weren't you talking about doing something for VAST?
We are participating in the VAST. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So we have that one too. So yeah.
That's the Virginia Association of Science Teachers for everybody.
Yes.
All right, Christy, you got anything else for us?
That was all that I had. Cord.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for all the members getting on here. I know that when we talked about this a month or so ago, and I thought that our group was really engaged during our meetings and so forth. I just thought it might be a little easier to do this, you know, every month and a half or so. And a half hour, a little bit longer, just to stay more engaged. And then when the actual meetings start taking place, again, we're still more engaged and we're a little more up on it, as opposed to, the night before or something like that, cramming 3 months of stuff into one meeting. So I just thank all of y'all for being here, and I appreciate everything everybody's doing.
Yes, definitely.
All right. Well,
I think that's it. Anybody else? Awesome. Well, thank y'all.
Never give people that last chance.
Yeah.
It's like, no, cut it
The
off.
gas law of meetings, the gas law of meetings, that the conversation will fill the allotted time.
Tom's used to this. It's like when the professor asks a question and the students are there going, you better not ask him a question.
Well, thank y'all so much for joining in this afternoon, and I look forward to hearing from y'all and seeing y'all again soon.
Thank you, Christy.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody.
Okay.
So
We'll see you
long.
Saturday.
Bye.
Yes, take care.